Okay, this is I had a lady that is a friend of mine make a request. She sent a picture, and this is when we get into what we call map reading, right? And there are some things that I do, and there are some things that I don't do because of the way that the language of math and geometry works between deadlight energy, deadlight held in cellular memory. Now, I don't have the time to go into all this unless you want to go back and look at all my videos, because a lot of this I've explained by virtue of what I've experienced of knowing how to work or operate within a battlefield environment, which is artificial intelligence. Okay, artificial intelligence is false light memories. Okay, this is when we get into what Patty Broussard talked about. You're supposed to know. And what we mean about supposed to know, okay, which means knowing your true self. Okay, like I use examples of my own journey of what I've learned by virtue of who I am, because I am what love is. So I know the journey that I'm on. Okay, I knew the journey that I was on at 4 years of age and why I'm here. There is no mistake in why I'm here, so I know who I am. And I know the journey that I'm on because I know who I'm with. I'm with the one, the first law, the first musician. I'm tuned into all the stars because we know how to tune into all the stars in order to do what? Balance the waves. That's what an oversoul polarity integrator does. That's my job, is to balance the rays. Now, some folks in the spiritual community talked about doing tarot reads. I've had my palm read, okay, by a gal who was a Hungarian gypsy. Okay, I was married to a girl. It's lasted only 7 years. Whose mother was a Hungarian gypsy, okay, who was part of the what was known as the freedom fighters in Hungary in 1957. None of these events are coincidental at all. So what I say to people is there's terminology that is used where you channel for me, like what's his name, Paul Anka. And then you hear the information that's coming through the voice box, which is the microphone of Paul Anka, about apparently another identity that is communicating with him, right, telepathically, and now he's sharing that information. And that can be done because I'm telepathic. I can experience the telepathic communication that I receive within me. But as I've mentioned to many folks before throughout my recordings, is that there's one law, which is love is a law. That's what I am. I'm the law. That's the law of one. That's the first pillar. That's the first line of communication. When you have a communication relationship with the grand creator, the source from which it all comes, because you're experiencing love in your heart and you're sharing that love with others because they're going to experience the energy that you are, that you're vibrating at the time that you are. They're experiencing the waves. They're experiencing the plasma waves that you're generating out of your heart and your soul. So if you're living through your heart and your soul, then you know who you are. You know the journey that you're on and why you're on the journey that you're on, which is a learning journey. So I explain this by virtue of when I was a little kid, I was on fire to learn. Now I know why I was on fire to learn, because I'm experiencing the eternal spirit of fire within my own heart and soul. That's shield up because you realize you're operating in a spiritual battlefield environment. So when we talk about false memories and then true memories, if I am what love is, which is true love, which is pure unconditional love, because I'm experiencing absolute purity of that love in my own heart and soul, I know my creator. Okay? My creator loves me more than you can possibly imagine. Right? Possibly imagine, because you know that that love is always on. So you're experiencing your journey. I'm experiencing my journey. So what I don't do is I don't try to define what your journey is for you. Now we're back to what Patty Broussard said about knowing you, knowing your true self and your true journey, right? Because if you want to think about being a free spirit, you know that a free spirit that is experiencing the eternal spirit of fire, that's called the language of fire, which is the language of fire letters, which are codes, which are frequency codes, which are loaded into what? A radio set. So DNA is an antenna loaded with frequencies that you can run as an antenna. So we're antennas. DNA is an antenna. I call it a biometric antenna. Metric as in meters, which is voltage, which is metering the voltage. You need to have a thermal gradient thermostat, right? So you don't spontaneously combust, right? So that you can maintain what you're aware of to run this, run your equipment while you're here for the reason that you're here. Okay, so what I don't do is I don't make choices and I don't make decisions and I don't try to influence. How do I put this? This is where we get into under the influence. What I do is I provide guidance. And the guidance that I share is based on what I've learned. Okay? And what I've learned is what I've learned through my experiences, because experience is the teacher. I call that the mirror. What we experience in our mirror. If I'm in love with what I am, then I'm in love with everything that's in my mirror. Because my mirror is what I'm running, which is a magnet. And those are your magnetic recordings. So you're recording as you're experiencing who you are in your mirror. So the more that you're healing, the more light you're running. The more light you're running, the more fire you're experiencing. The more fire you're experiencing, the more powerful your shield. The more powerful your shield, the less likely that something's going to get through that firewall to do what? Infect you with a virus. So this would be defined no different than a virus in a computer. And what does a virus in a computer do? Corrupt the codes, change the codes. Now the consciousness is experiencing something by virtue of another unit of consciousness is using your consciousness to put those codes into your computer, and now you're going to run those codes. That's somebody else hacking into your own computer. Okay? So now you're into false light and eternal light, or living light, which is living spirit with a soul. Right? So false memories, for me, means that I'm experiencing something like when I'm a little kid, and I realize I'm running calculus, which is a calculator of polarity between negative and positive magnetic polarity, and I realize I'm not supposed to experience any density, no polarity. That's what a polarity integrator is. I'm pulling all the fragments of what's been lost as a result of units of consciousness that are running antennas against other antennas. That are doing what? Fractures, fractals, losing light. The more light that keeps getting lost over time-space vectors, right, are more pieces that represent energy of that unit of consciousness that are no longer experiencing what was once what? Whole. It's not experiencing being whole. It's not experiencing what it once was, which was the one, which is wholeness, which is oneness, which is the one, which is the first line of communication. So I speak in different language, which is called the language of fire, which is the language of spirit that is on fire to give energy away. So this is why when I was a little kid, I realized, okay, I'm going to have to load things into memory that I don't want in memory because they don't represent what love is. Because love is a law. And love is a law because that's a law of spheres, which is the law of balance. This means your consciousness is in balance. Your consciousness is not distorted, so therefore what you're generating in consciousness are not distorted waves. That means your consciousness is playing beautiful music. That means you've learned how to play beautiful music. That means you're tuned into the first musician. And now you're with all the other musicians, which are expert musicians, which are the ascended masters, that are all playing music, the music of auroras, rainbows, right? The 7 nerve fiber centers, right? The 7 color codes. Now you're an artist. Now you got all the frequencies that represent all the codes, which represent the units of consciousness that are playing music with us. Now we're all in rhythm and harmony. Right? So the math and the geometry and the spiritual form and flow of that consciousness is tuned in to all the stars. Because you know how to tune in to all the stars. So you've learned how to tune your radio. Now we're into programmable radios. What frequency do you want to load in your radio set? How many frequencies can you load into your radio set and run? Which means experience. Now the consciousness is experiencing all the different frequencies that exist within the entire cosmos. Imagine that. That's a cosmic level spirit antenna. Connected to the one. Experiencing the first musician. See? So what I would say is what a lot of us say is go deep into your own heart and soul. And begin to, what I do, particularly in the night, and particularly over the last year, I've spent more time sort of in what we call solitude. More solitude moments where it's just me and my Creator. Just being in a state of still point, the still point of silence, silent running, experiencing peace, love, harmony, balance, love, harmony, balance, love, harmony, balance, love, harmony, balance, love, harmony, and balance. I'm experiencing what love is. It is in harmony, rhythm, and balance. Thank you so much for what it is that you are, that I am, because I am what love is, which is what you are, which is what I am. Because we're all playing music together that is in harmony and balance with each other. Because we're all tuned in to the first musician, the primal light in the sound field, the first crystal spiral, the first wave, the first creative expression, born out of what love is. And that's as simple as I know how to explain it, because that's what I was explaining at 4 years of age, and it doesn't change. It's universal in its application, which is the application of consciousness, or the conscious application of pure absolute love. So when you're experiencing pure absolute love, you've healed. You're now experiencing the one again. Right? So it's all about healing. So healing comes through acknowledging that you need to heal, and that's a relationship that you have with your own energy field. Right? Just like the way I've explained Alcoholics Anonymous, when I realized I'm done with this, I quit, I surrender, right? I'm tired of beating myself up, right? Because you're in a battlefield, right? Even though I knew as a child, I'm not supposed to experience this, but I already knew. I wrote my own timeline, so in order for me to get where I'm at now, I had to experience everything that I experienced on that timeline in order to get where I'm at now, right? And so you keep your shield up, and if it gets knocked down, get back on that horse again. You know, ride with the spirit of the wind, right? You see, like just like native spirits, right? The folks that come from the different tribal bands, you know, band is width of the band, which is width of the wave, which is the frequency. Now we're into cool colors, which is your auric energy field, right? The essence of your aura, which is the essence of our spirit, right? So we're all different aspects of the same all creation, right? Experiencing what love is, which is the music that we play, right? So there's an old saying that I can't do for you that you can't do for yourself, right? So when I was a little kid, I realized what my job was, which is what my mission is, right? Which is to help mama get back up. Come on. Burn through all these circuits, right? Which means you want to heal all the cellular memories. So I've talked about this before. It's not just the cellular memories in bipeds, bipedal folks, right? Two-legged creatures, you know, with 5 fingers, right? But everything that is a living cell. Because everything that is a living cell feels the energy. Its consciousness, from the smallest to the largest, is feeling. That's what it means to have feelings. Feelings. Remember when I was growing up, how feely-touchy are you? Can I touch you? Ooh, you're touching me with love. Whoa, that is soft. You are very gentle. Wow. You are so gentle. I can feel how gentle you are. And I know within my heart and soul, that level of gentleness, that gentle of warmth, feeling your spirit with that much love, I know from whence it all began. Because nothing is that powerful than what I'm experiencing through you, which is what love is that goes on forever, that I experience in me, that I share with all of you. Gentle, being kind. Because the last thing we'd ever do is want to ruffle your feathers. Right? Ruffle the lotus flower petals of your flower. Just observe the flower being the flower that's on fire to show pink. Allowing that pink flower, right, to not have to use its electrons in order to protect itself and increase its density, which is to increase its mass, because it's not expanding its consciousness out of fear to expand more of what we're giving love to. So it's all about resistance, which is the density as a result of units of consciousness that are doing to themselves that we experience through them, what they do to others, we experience in our cellular memories. So when you realize the difference between a living memory, which is a living cell, which is living spirit, which is living energy with a soul, is not the same as experiencing dead light that doesn't have one. Which means the memory that is held in dead light is not the same memory as a memory that's held in living light, which is a kasmina record. The recordings are not the same. So now when you are in a battlefield environment between dead light memories and living light memories, and you realize that you have all these operating systems at the planetary, star system, galactic, and universal level, and you think about cellular memories that are recorded in permanent records, and you get into the cellular memories that can be edited in other recordings, right? Then you realize there is a difference, right? Torque speed differential difference between one and the other, which means a permanent record held in record by the one, having access to the one. The records that represent the one, which is the first wave, which is the eternal spirit of fire, and that's the kasmina council. Kasmina records. They can't alter those. So this is when you get into false light, false memories. That's why when I was a child, I'm not supposed to experience anything less than absolute eternal love, because that's why